The US government is clearing the way for crypto derivatives, and the XRP ledger is one of the best technologies on the planet to solve some of these financial solutions for these products. Let's go ahead and get into what is actually happening right now, what the CFTC is doing, what is it going to mean for XRP. Plus, I have some new information around derivatives on the XRP ledger and where this is actually heading. We also are going to take a look at some price estimates here as this value comes on chain. What is it going to mean? How much money are we actually talking about? Let's go. So CFTC launches an initiative for using tokenized collateral, including stablecoins in derivatives markets, seeking public feedback. Now, they want to go ahead and change these financial markets, but they still need to get feedback from everybody, right? They want to be able to say, hey, we had this, public hearing. It was your shot or opportunity to give your feedback on what you think about this next move, but they are moving the financial infrastructure for derivatives to the crypto market. That is what we're seeing. Now, Digital Perspectives did say Ripple is about to tap into a $400 trillion derivatives market. Now, is it really $400 trillion? That is a question we need to answer that I'm going to tell you exactly what was going on here. Just give me a second. So Digital Asset Investor is reposting some of this stuff, posted this here. Market size is typically measured by notional value, the underlying principal amount. I'm going to get into this in just a second, but here you go. The true intentions of Ripple are to handle 100% of the transactions which take place in the derivatives market. We are also looking at Eleanor Tirrett posting about this as well. So Axelar's goal is to lock 5% of XRP circulating supply, and Flare Network's goal is about to lock up 5 billion XRP. That's just two companies, right? So you're starting to look up lowering the circulating supply as well as bringing this value on chain. What is this really going to do for XRP holders? Now, let me show you this really quickly because there is some confusion about how much of this value is truly coming on chain. So let's go ahead and clear that up. The total notional value of the global derivatives market is estimated about 1 quadrillion. I'm sure you've seen these numbers, but the more widely accepted figures reported by regulators, blah, 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 is 600 trillion to 1 quadrillion. For all outstanding contracts, including both exchange traded over the counter OTC derivatives. However, the true financial risk, called the gross market value, is much lower. So when we're bringing this value on chain, it's not 600 trillion to 1 quadrillion. It's roughly about $22 trillion in value. I just want to be very clear on that because when I first got into the crypto space, I too believed that this value would be represented, but this is just the contract value, not the actual money that is locked up in the product. So here is the notional value versus the gross market value. The notional value is the face value of all outstanding derivative contracts. It represents the total value of assets these contracts are based on, but the underlying amounts seldom change hands. They are used for calculating payments and exposure. The gross market value is the actual value at risk, the market replacement cost of all contracts. So this is the value you're going to see coming on chain. And if we can capture this value, I'll show you what happens to the price here in just a bit. Let me go ahead and get into a little bit more here. I got a great video here. This is the CEO of Securitize, Carlos Domingo, talking about BlackRock Buildo, the next V-Build 2. A lot of things happening right now. Let me play this.
Yeah, Carlos. So maybe you can break down this announcement today for us. You guys have rolled this out with Van Eck. Kind of what's the story behind this and why is this important for Securitize?
One of the issues with capital markets is that the dollar, the rails for the dollars and the rails for the securities are disconnected. So one of the huge advantages of tokenization is that you bring within the same ledger technology tokenized securities and tokenized dollars. So for us being, the largest issuer of tokenized securities, we need to partner with the largest issuers of tokenized dollars because that's how we bring the two worlds together and provide liquidity for our assets, which is hugely important to make them, more useful for people on chain, being able to then compose them better with DeFi that needs liquidation, use them as collateral for trading. In case the collateral needs to get liquidated, you need to exit into stable coins, etc. So as you know, Ripple, one of the largest companies in the space, launched its own stablecoin, I believe it was like 6 months ago or something like that, like pretty recently.
Yep.
But it's been pretty remarkable how big it has become so quickly. So obviously Ripple is a company very familiar to us. I don't know if people are aware of it, but they invested in our company in 2018 and we've always been, talking to them. But more recently, I think Ripple has started doing some movements to get closer to our space. They, as you know, launched a custody product. Now they bought a prime broker, and now they launched a stable coin. So that led to the discussions of why don't we use RLUSD as one of the liquidity layers for RWAs? And then the announcement today that we're going to start that with the two tokenized treasury funds that we have, Biddle from BlackRock and VBIL from Van Eck, where they will have instant on-chain liquidity options into RLUSD.
I just wanted to show you this, right? I did a whole video on this if you're interested, but I wanted to show you that the derivatives market, as well as the BlackRock BillDuel and the next VBill tokenized funds here, are heading on chain. They're going to be using RLUSD as an off ramp for some of these. So the financial infrastructure is being updated here, right? We have the stock market coming on chain. We have the derivatives market coming on chain. Laws and rules are being updated to allow all of this. And then you have Ripple at the heart of it, connected with BlackRock, VanEck, and some of the biggest institutional like Franklin Templeton, DBS, just to name like the last two announcements. It's mind boggling, right? Let me show you some other stuff here. I did pull up, when people search this is the issue here, right? When you search on AI, it's going to take the entire value of the derivatives market and it's going to give you prices, but these prices are technically wrong. Okay. So this is just to show you this 10%, 20%, or 50% of global derivatives markets. It basically went 100, 200, and 500 trillion. It gives you a stupid price here of $1,673. But we understand that it's not the total value here of this 500 trillion that's coming on chain. It's really it's really a lot less, like 22 trillion. So let me just show you this here, right? I even said, so the above answer you gave me is correct figures. We're not talking about 100 trillion or 500 trillion. We're talking about such thing as like 12 trillion. It's like 12 to 22 trillion. It says you're absolutely right. The relevant figure for on-chain settlement and tokenization is a gross market value of approximately 12 trillion. So depending on where you're looking, it's anywhere from 12 to 22 trillion. It's just like when they talk about Nostro Vostro money, how much is in Nostro Vostro? You ask 100 people in the banking industry, you'll get 100 different answers. Usually it's anywhere from like 5 trillion to like, I've seen 29 trillion. I think it's somewhere in between, maybe like 15 trillion, 10 to 15 trillion. But here is the actual value that would come on chain. So 10%, 20%, and 50%. Here's 10, 20, and 50%. 6 trillion. 50% of this would be about $100 XRP. But now, just as using today's circulating supply, this is not taking into consideration any other factors like ETFs and all of this other stuff. But I just wanted to be honest with you here about what this translates to, because I know there's a lot of misinformation posted online about this. And I just wanted to be very clear with you where this is all heading. So why derivatives? Why blockchain? What are the benefits? Derivatives include contracts like futures, options, swaps, and forwards. Their value is based on the performance of the underlying assets, such as an index or rate, allowing traders to hedge risks, speculate on price movements, and obtain leverage. They are commonly used by institutions, corporations, and sophisticated investors for risk management and market strategies. Why move derivatives to the XRP ledger? Blockchain enables real-time settlement, reducing counterparty risk and delays that are common in traditional markets. Transactions on the XRP ledger are transparent and can be verified by all participants, minimizing fraud and increasing trust in the markets, right? Regulators will be hooked up to blockchains as nodes on the network. They will be able to verify and do whatever they need to do, audit every transaction that they need to do in real time. This really will help get some of the bad stuff that's going on in our financial markets out of them. Blockchain-based derivatives offer global access, allowing institutions and investors worldwide to participate without costly intermediaries. So these are banks, right, that you have to pay an enormous amount just to use their technology and their rails. Ripple is offering you solutions for fractions of the price for instant lightning speed. I mean, you really start looking at all the benefits to all of the downside, and you really, how do you go into a more board meeting and say, guys, listen, we could probably save about $5 billion next year using blockchain over Swift. I'm having a hard time with this decision. What do we do? Like, that's not a serious conversation, right? These banks, especially the larger financial institutions, understand that blockchain is going to basically upend their entire banking model. This is why JP Morgan's and the Citis and the Bank of America's have been understanding this for quite some time and making adjustments to follow. It does talk about key benefits on the XRP ledger: transparency, automation, liquidity, and security. It's really good to have that additional context here. XRP derivatives, just to give you some additional context and news and information about this, the XRP derivatives market has rapidly grown in 2025, with notional derivatives volumes we're hitting around $9 billion, with open interest at all-time highs. CME, Bitget, Binance are all offer XRP futures, so does Coinbase, making XRP the third largest crypto futures asset in the open interest as of September 2025. Institutional investors and banks utilize XRP futures for hedging as part of the payment flows, not just speculation, making a shift towards retail-driven, institutional-driven volume. Daily derivatives trading averages about 143 million overall. Institutional XRP holdings have surpassed $7.1 billion. Bitstamp is launching its own derivatives platform. Remember Robinhood bought Bitstamp? So Robinhood actually owns this derivatives platform now, right? Derivatives trading platform using XRP ledger, aiming for faster and more cost-effective solutions than competitors. Yes, yes, yes. Ripple XRP derivatives market connection. Oops, sorry, I didn't mean to do that. I just talked a little bit about some of the things that I already shared with you. I'm not going to reread all this stuff to you because I don't want to put you to sleep here or force you off, but here's a great clip. This is Jasmine Cooper. She's the director of product at Ripple. She's going to be talking about derivatives on the XRP ledger with the EVM sidechain. Listen up.
Trading and value transfer is definitely a sweet spot there. But when it comes to more complex operations or highly specific, financial protocols, that's not the sweet spot. And the XRP ledger community doesn't necessarily want it to be. So that's where we can really lean on our Axelar partnership, use general message passing, and actually allow applications to develop their tokenization engine on XRPL mainnet, their trading engine on
their tokenization engine or their trading engine on the XRP ledger.
XRPL mainnet, and then tap into advanced derivatives and other capabilities on the EVM sidechain. And those users never actually have to move their wallet or interact with the sidechain itself. So it's a very seamless experience. It really allows for the best of both worlds and is made possible by Axelar.
All right. Let me show you a few other things here. CME. CME takes second place, passing Binance for XRP open interest, 1.2 billion. Remember, XRP was the fastest ever growing product on CME crypto product to $1 billion. That is pretty insane. And of course, right, we know that Bitstamp was building a derivatives platform. Robinhood bought them. And so when you see these, like when I remember seeing this, and I did a video on this, right? I thought 500 trillion, $11,000 XRP. So like you just got to, some of the stuff that we are seeing, right? You got to remember it's not 150 trillion. It's not 500 trillion coming on, but it'll be interesting to see how it affects the price. The ISDA, Ripple partner ISDA derivatives are fertile territory for the application of smart contracts in DLT. Derivatives plus Ripple equals quadrillions of dollars on the XRP ledger, right? Probably quadrillions in trading over time. Derivatives are fertile territory. Their main payments and deliverables are heavy, dependent on conditional logic. There's been a lot of research and pilots and tests on this stuff too. Anyways, guys, the derivatives market is open. It is moving to blockchain. XRP, Ripple are at the heart of this adoption. How much will come on chain? That is really the question that everybody is wondering and asking. But if you take a look right now of where Ripple is positioned, they are really one of the main solutions for some of the biggest financial institutions in the world, as well as governments. We talk about a unified ledger. How much of that unified ledger is going to be based off of XRP ledger technology? And how will XRP be used in this system? I think that's really what's exciting. And I'm just trying to buy as much as I can at this point, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'm so glad to be home with you. Still a little tired. We did 36 hours. We got back yesterday and I am exhausted, but I wanted to come in and make some content. I miss you guys so much. I hope you're doing well. If you got value, you can leave a comment down below. Aloha.